Hi, Barack. How are you?
Hey, I'm great, Chloe. How
Good.
are you doing?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me in your suite today at the RSA conference.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Well, I'd love to talk a bit about yourself, your background, and where you're at in your journey today.
Amazing. So I think my journey started as most Israeli co-founders in the A200. Done a lot of research and a lot of R&D in many different kind of groups. And after that, I've been in Sentinel-1. I've done a lot of PR research, DEF CON and Black Hat and things like that. And now we're working on our second company, but after that, the first company was Wild Pointer. So in Wild Pointer, we've done a lot of cybersecurity services, but especially for Fortune 500 companies and big companies that want the specific talents in the cybersecurity industry to accelerate specific R&D efforts they have, or even develop part of their crucial technologies. During that period, we've been a part of Cisco AI Defense and led the first, research groups there before they bought Robust Intelligence. And it was an amazing experience to do that. Back then I remember in 2023, it was called, agentic workflows. So it wasn't even like AI agents. Andrew and G just started talking about it. And we started to do security for that, to do, research over that. And we were astonished to see how big the attack surface can be with this type of entities. Entities, that autonomously can think and react and do things on their own. And so we built the first DAS solution for agentic workflows in Cisco. And we told ourselves like, wait, that's just the starting point. Like we see an amazing future here, and both frightening and both interesting on the cybersecurity defender side. So we founded Tenet Security to give enterprises the ability to say yes to autonomous agents.
That's really interesting. And what do you think you've learned from those past experiences that have shaped you and helped you build what you're building today? Very loaded question. I know.
Yeah. I think I can split my career in different kind of chunks. Every step is combined with the people, and I would say the learning experience. It's not about it's not about specific kind of technical skills or technical experiences, but more about the people and the type of connections you make. And I think that from our last company, I learned how it is to sell to enterprises. What is the life cycle? Who is responsible? How many steps in the process? What is the real price for this organization? Usually people and also first-time founders used to think that, it's the price that they pay you. It's not the price that they pay you. It's the liability that they might take, the legal risk, the political friction in the organization. And there's a lot of things you need to think when you work with enterprises. So that's exactly what I learned in my past experience. Before that, opening a company during COVID, during mess in back in home in Israel, the war obviously, and all the unfortunate thing that happened. I think what really amazed me is to see how resilient people around me. I feel very fortunate, not just about the team and the professional team around me, but also about my family. They are so strong to go over all that.
Yeah, and I'm glad everyone's safe as well, because it's a turbulent time, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Safe.
And how are you building that trust with your customers in the world of security? Like, how do you build that trust to get buy-in from them?
Great question. So I'm a very honest person. I really I don't know how to lie. Okay, I'm not a good, like really. And I think one thing, and it's me and my partner. We're friendly.
Yeah.
We love building relationships, and even if it's not the best fit, we not try to push you into something you don't need.
You're happy to walk away and
Yeah, I'm happy to
shake
walk
their
up
hand.
and just and check the hand, and and stay in touch, and grab beer from time to time. But I don't need we don't need the approval of anyone. So the first thing you need to understand is that you don't look for anyone. You look for building, relationships. You look to build connections with people. That's what also I love and appreciate so much. I love people. I love making, deep discussions about interesting things. So we continue with that. That's the first phase. I believe it's such a crucial thing in cybersecurity, especially where it's so much about trust, because when vulnerability or attack already happened, then it's usually game over. So you trust the person before that's happened. So you need to make sure that all the pillars are there. The relationship building, the buy-in from the organization itself, the champion decision maker. You need to understand them. You need to understand what matters for them. You can say, I heard so many founders saying like, oh, that's the way to solve it. That's how you should. No, wait a second. Give them the ability to choose. Even if you can use agents, it doesn't mean that all should be autonomous, especially in enterprise security.
How are you trying to educate the market, and what around insecurity at the moment?
Yeah, so I think the market currently is rushing to adopt agents, especially autonomous agents. You see agents internally used, the organization even unaware of them. I'm not even just OpenClaw and Claude bots, but even the basic the Claude Code and Cursor and other agents. They are fully autonomous agents. They can connect to anything in your organization.
That's so scary.
Yeah. And people connect them because here is the thing. The more useful the agent, the more you want them to be useful, the more risky they can get, because in order for them to be useful, you need to give them more access. You need to give them more keys. You need to give them, more API. And people are also doing that in production, putting more and more agents autonomously that doing work in production. So we have this problem both in production and internally. The other pillar that people usually completely miss is the following. Your agents are inherently vulnerable because they cannot defer external data and system instructions. That means that every piece of data, I'm not saying malware, I'm not saying links, I'm not saying binaries, I'm not saying scripts, I'm saying text. A book that your agent is reading can manipulate and take over the agent's mind. While taking over the agent's mind, it can work for an attacker's behalf remotely. And we see that time after time in organizations where they are vulnerable to these kind of exploits. We call that agent jacking, where you exploit the logic and the behavioral activities of the agent itself, manipulating its intent in a way he's allowed to do, but shouldn't be doing.
It is very scary. It's exciting at the same time of the capability of what we can do with AI. But I wonder, because there's so many AI security companies coming out, or AI companies slapping AI on their product, right? Instead of like having actual like use cases. So where do you see the market sort of going in terms of agentic security?
So, as all markets in cybersecurity, we are not detached from the market that we are securing. It all depends on where the market is heading. And what I'm seeing now is that many organizations, especially in highly competitive environments, are rushing to deploy this and making autonomous agents as the new operating systems. So you can think about autonomous agents that you communicate with above your existing operating system. And these organizations are rushing to do it because it's a broad demand to adopt AI faster, to increase margin, to increase revenue, to cut costs. So they're doing that very fast. Regarding agentic security, the problem I see with the current market is everyone looking at specific niche. So you have the LLM gateways of the world. They are looking at just the LLM layer. You have the EDRs of the world, amazing solutions, obviously, but they're looking just at the operating system layer, seeing just the processes. You have WAFs and APIs and gateways like that, but they are not seeing the full picture as well because they just see the network activities or these kind of things. And if you don't have all these layers correlated into one agentic session, how can you understand what your agent's going to do?
Yeah. And so CISOs in the market must be pretty confused or see this market as a pretty noisy market at the moment, right?
Pretty noisy market, yeah.
There's a bunch of solutions out there for them, but it's like, are they going to choose something that doesn't have the capabilities that they actually need in the long run?
Yeah. So I think if I were a CISO, and fortunately I'm not a CISO, I think it's the one job that's more stressful than probably being a founder. But I think that you need to have the roadmap, the business roadmap, upon you, and say like, what type of agents making sense in the future? What type of AI projects we're gonna have in the future? And if the answer is like, we have chatbots, but we don't want to give them autonomy. We have some autonomy, but it's very restricted and deterministic. Then yes, you can have specific solutions like the first gen AI security solution that got just the LLM layer, because these agents or these chatbots just work in the LLM layer. But if you have autonomous agents, and that's what exactly we're doing at Tenet, if you have real autonomous agents, then you need all the layers to understand that, because you cannot have a solution that just give you the LLM layer without the ability to look at the actions that the agents is doing in real time. For an EDR perspective, it is a process, an authorized process. Inside, there can be many agents, many sessions. It cannot defer what's going on, really.
And so with Tenet as well, are you going to be partnering with other like security technologies, or is it all your own within one platform?
So because we're still in stealth in Tenet security, I would say that if we're looking at the Tenet and what Tenet gives you, so the real thing that gets CISOs to lean in is the first time seeing deep visibility of what their agents are actually doing. People say, I will add in the prompts, I will change the behavioral configurations, I will add another guideline. It doesn't matter in runtime. In runtime, these agents rationalize to themselves, tell themselves, justify to themselves that they should act in this way or another. They forget the first guidelines you gave them already. So the only way to understand how your agents really were acting is for runtime. We found two popular agents attacking each other, like trying to exfiltrate data from one another. True story. Wow. In an enterprise environment. And that's scary, right? And like I must say, we are not quite sure why it happened so far. We're investigating that.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Are you looking at like the whole software delivery like life cycle, or are you looking in run just in like once it's been delivered?
We're giving from visibility. We're a unified solution to secure AI agents for advanced companies.
Yeah.
From visibility and discovery to detection and response. And I think what's most important to understand is that we also give you the kill switch. Okay. So when your agents go rogue, and you know that your agents will go rogue, because that's the nature, that's the way of life with agents. They hallucinate, they are creative. So we are there. We will be there to have a kill switch and to break the circuit when it goes wrong. And I think what most solutions nowadays are doing is first they are not seeing the full context, as I mentioned, the all layers that you
Right.
need. And the second thing is they alert you, but it doesn't matter to alert. You don't need to stop the bleeding when your autonomous agent is moving laterally across an organization. You need to stop it in real time, you know? And that's the kill switch we're giving them. The zero friction, very lightweight kill switch.
And who is this going to service customer-wise for you guys? Who is this going to add value to in the market?
So we're seeing a lot of different companies that fit that line of service, from technical SaaS companies to fintech and health tech. Basically, any organization that have a lot of development or a lot of specific AI agents projects and stuff like that. But again, that's just a portion of where we are looking at. So if we're looking at the future, I believe that any organization will use a system of AI agents to operate. That's not a question. It's just a matter. It's not a matter of will it happen, just a matter of when it happens.
Right. And I'd love to just pick your brains as well as a founder of a security startup. Like, what advice, if I was starting a company today in security, what advice would you give a first-time founder?
Oh, well.
From maybe a couple of failures you've had, lessons learned, what advice would you have? What would be like your top 3 that you'd tell someone to do straight away?
Amazing. So I think cybersecurity is a market that sometimes work very different to how like tech market even works. Okay, so there are waves, and it's not out of nothing, because innovation is really one of the important things in this market to make sure you are one step ahead of attackers.
Yeah.
And for a first-time founder, I would say there are 2 things. Either there are 2 reasons, like market-wise, business-wise, to start a startup and work on an idea. Either there is a new, a new problem with new technology, like AI agents. They just started and needs security, and it's very different. There is a huge differentiation from what security tools we built. Or there is a new technology that can completely change current industries in the cyber. I know it's a very cliche advice.
Make something new.
Make a very cliche advice, but I see a lot of founders saying like, let's replace Okta, let's replace, and I that's a great vision, right? That's great. I don't want it to chant like and say we won't, but you need to think about what is your wedge point, where you're gonna enter this market, where is the emerging field that CISOs are gonna take a chance on it.
Yeah.
CISOs are gonna build something with you and think that you're solving a real painful enough problem.
100%. And how have you found RSA so far for yourself?
RSA always an exciting event. So many things at the same time. I'm keep losing track of like what events I need to go next in every single step.
Right.
And I think this year RSA is very special to us because it's our first time as Tenet security founders coming to RSA. Lot of meetings, lot of excitement, our new swag over here. So we are very excited about what's coming next.
Sweet. And what advice would you give founders that are maybe coming to RSA for the first time? They might be seeking investment, they might be seeking to speak to CISOs. Like, what advice would you give around that to them?
I would say don't sell. I see a lot of people go to RSA and start, immediately like pitching and selling all the time. And, RSA is so overcrowded by vendors. If CISOs want to get a demo, they can get it so fast and they can go so fast and get it, So if you wander around and see someone, keep it about a relationship. Keep it fun. That's like I think about the RSA. And absolutely, like, you're here for business, right? Don't forget
Sure.
that. That's fine. But business relationships are not built overnight.
Yeah.
So you build in your relationship here for the long run.
100%. We just did CISO karaoke last night. It had 800 people that wanted to attend, which was amazing.
It was amazing.
But I think the capacity was only like 300 that we could let in. But yeah, you're right. It's about creating those relationships. We had a ton of fun with VCs, founders, CISOs, and that will probably be one of my most memorable moments of the week, singing some very silly tunes with lots of people in the industry who I now have on WhatsApp, and we're texting, and I'm sending them videos of their good and bad singing. But I think it's, like you said, about having fun, creating those relationships, keeping in touch, and you are still selling though, but you're creating that relationship by being you and them buying into you and building trust that way.
Yeah, I believe that, high conviction founders, I say them don't sell because they're automatically selling. Their whole, like, inherently they are, they're pitching. So, like, don't sell means, like, don't try to push pitches and stuff like that. Yes, absolutely. Explore collaborations, explore relationships with people. But believe me, people that have the problem, if you really connect with them, it will happen. You understand this is the problem they have. This is, like, might be an interesting solution for them to explore. You schedule another follow-up in a much more chill time.
Yeah.
Continue the conversation.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for meeting me. I've really enjoyed chatting to you, and
So
good luck with the business and RSA, and I'll see you again really soon, hopefully.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me as well.
No worries. No worries.